We'll just have some folks get ready to join us. Okay, everyone. Hello, this is George Thomas with CBN News. I'm the senior international correspondent for CBN News. I am usually traveling around the world. My last assignment, if you've been following me, has been in Gaza. Spent almost a month covering the war in Gaza. But today I find myself in our nation's capital, here in Washington, D.C. Why? Because a whole bipartisan group of politicians, faith leaders, NGOs, human rights groups have descended on Washington, D.C. for the International Religious Freedom Summit. It's a yearly event, a very important yearly event in the calendar of the city. As I mentioned, it brings a diverse group of people from around the world who are all very, very concerned about the plight of religious freedom and the issues that people of faith face around the world. And so we're here, we'll be covering it for the next 2 days. And I have a tremendous honor and privilege to have some really important people who have traveled from different corners of the world to talk about the issue of religious freedom. And I am so privileged and honored today to start off the broadcast with a person that we have heard only. We've seen her writings, and she has been writing about the situation in Nagorno-Karabak. With me is Tanush. So good to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. You have come all the way from Armenia, from the side of Armenia, but you were born and raised in this place called Nagorno-Karabak. And Nagorno-Karabak has been in the news for the last almost 2 years when several months ago, almost 12 months ago, Azerbaijan forces, in essence, blockaded your community known as Nagorno-Karabak. Can you tell us what it was like for you and your family in those 9 months being surrounded by Azeri forces and the blockade? What was that like for you?
Well, if in a nutshell, we were living before 2020 war, even before blockade, we were living in a heaven. We really described our community, Artsakh, we call Artsakh our country, as a heaven. But they made our lives now like hell. So especially the 9 months blockade, it was not just blockade, it was starvation siege. And like during whole 9 months, we were going through hardship. Like first 3 months, because it was winter and Azerbaijan cut electricity and gas, and we didn't have enough food, medicine, fuel, but also in that condition, in cold, it was simply hard to communicate. Kids were deprived to go to school. So, but especially last 3 months were even harder because like main nutrition, bread, we couldn't find. So especially for mothers, who had newborns, like finding baby formula simply it was. And especially if we compare, like we know already, and from news, like there is a 100,000 of ton humanitarian aid.
And it wasn't coming in.
Yeah, and it wasn't coming in. Just imagine this mother every day. They wake up, they were waiting that food, but there wasn't.
It was not getting into them. What was it like to be a reporter and trying to tell the story? In fact, you were the last journalist from Karabakh to leave your hometown when the Azeri soldiers took over. What was it like as a journalist to be reporting from inside Nagorno-Karabakh?
Well, I started reporting just after 2020 war. And even before blockade, Nagorno-Karabakh was already in an information blockade because Russian and Azerbaijan, they didn't allow international journalists come inside and to report.
In fact,
there was no one.
We were trying to get in and we couldn't get in.
And it was not possible. And I was not journalist, but I said, who should tell people this story? And I just was starting to write on my Twitter account, like simply how people live, how people struggle. And I share my stories, my family stories. My mother was in Yerevan at that time, and all these 9 months I couldn't
You couldn't see her.
Yes,
Yeah.
And for her it was hard because I remember she said like. It was hard, like she has a bread and she knows like her kids doesn't have it. So I just wanted to share it, and I was thinking like if I share these stories, uh, it will something can be changed, you know, uh, organization, decision makers somehow can impact. But to be honest, I'm very disappointed because
Right.
we see what happened.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure like what I did, it
Made a
somehow,
difference.
yeah, it didn't make any kind of difference actually.
If you're just joining us, Sanush, is that right? Right. Sanush is my guest here today. If you're just joining us, I want you to like the video. If you've got questions for our guest talking about the situation in Karabakh, please go ahead and do that. We want to read your comments, read your questions, and get them answered. Again, if you're just joining us, my name is George Thomas. I'm the senior international correspondent for CBN News. I'm normally traveling around the world. But today I'm here in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital for the International Religious Freedom Summit. And in fact, Sanush is going to be speaking. She's one of the keynote speakers here at the plenary session. She's going to be talking about religious freedom, human rights, and the present situation that's taking place today in Nagorno-Karabakh. If you've got a map, in front of you, just Google it. If you're not sure where it is, just type in the word Nagorno-Karabakh and you will see exactly where, the geographical location of where we're talking about and what has happened to her homeland. Nagorno-Karabakh, in fact, is a majority Christian community. What was life like in this heaven, as you mentioned? Talk about the kinds of freedom and the ability to worship that you had during this time.
Well, there are hundreds of churches in Nagorno-Karabakh, and every community has a church. And I was grown up near the Amaras Monastery. This is one of the oldest monastery. It was built in 4th century, and it was not just a place when I was grown up, I was baptized, but also we have all our villagers have vineyards, mulberry orchards, and it was our life was there, and every year with families, with friends, neighbors, we did harvest, and it was really meaningful life. And when now and everyone you ask, they will tell their stories regarding with their church, their villages, and we left everything there, you know. And because we had experienced 4 wars, we had many victims. Every family, like my family, lost 2 members of my family. So, and everyone, we have families who lost 4 members, and most of men were killed during these wars. And just imagine all their graves now there, and now we just can see on the news, like sometimes on the social media they post videos like they destroying these
Cemeteries
graves,
and
yes,
gravestones,
cemeteries,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
gravestones, and we don't know what will happen with our churches, because we already have cases like starting from 2005 in Nakhichevan, they destroyed 70,000 Kachkars, Armenians. In Artsakh already after 2020 war, they already they don't only destroy churches, but also they change the history. They want to change all history. Like it's not Armenian, it's Albanian churches. So they not only take our homes, our country, but they want to take our identity, our belief, our faith. So, and if now, because first days when we somehow survive and reach to Armenia, people were in shock. They couldn't even believe that they are alive. And but now when you talk to them, they compare their life there, and everyone they said, oh, even without bread, but at least we could live in our homes.
It's very emotional, I can imagine. So we've got people are joining us for Sanush. It's very difficult, I can imagine, because just imagine, not only are they trying to destroy their churches, try to desecrate their gravesite and the cemeteries, but it's about destroying a culture. It's about destroying a faith and rewriting history in many ways. If you got questions for us, please go ahead and write them. We'll try to get to them. If you can like our channel as well, we'll be all throughout the next 2 days. We'll be bringing you interviews like this with people who are enduring the hardships. Sandy is asking people. Thank you, Sandy, so much for asking people around the world to pray for your community. One person wanted to know, has the United States done anything to help?
Well, just before Azerbaijani invasion of September 19, after 9 months when we were in a blockade, and 1 week before, it was on September 14, I remember, Yuri Kim, the high official of State Department, in a testimony, she said, United States will not allow any military intervention and will not allow ethnic cleansing. But just 1 week before, it happened. And we know that they just green lighted, because if Azerbaijani authorities know, like, somehow they will be stopped, they would. And today it happened with us, but tomorrow it can happen with other religion minorities. And even now, they don't, just destroy our community. It's whole Christian country. Maybe it was not recognized, but it was whole country, small country with its own identity, and they destroy whole Christian this country with all their history.
So
not United States, not other Western countries.
Yeah.
There were a lot of talks,
Yeah.
we know, but not any concrete steps. Like somehow they could pressure Azerbaijan during blockade to bring food, or at least stop this military invasion.
Do you feel, somebody is asking, do you feel that in many ways the global community abandoned the people of Nagorno-Karabakh?
Yes, because mostly we were not heard. I every day in my Twitter account, every day I tweeted. Like today, in this near the shop, 500,000 people were waiting for just one loaf of bread, and every day this story. But I tried to reach many. International media, but they didn't want to publish anything. It was very hard. Only some of them. Only there were individuals, who they convinced their editors, like we should cover this story. But mostly we were forgotten. We were like invisible, and even now we are invisible. Yes, they destroyed our country, but we are alive. We are here, and we have right to return. But now, and even now, if some officials talking about our return, there is no concrete steps like how it should be, because you can imagine. Yes, we can. If there was a possibility to stay there, we would stay. Why we should leave? But nobody talks like in which guarantees, in which condition
and what
we
that
can
would
go
look like.
back and live in our homes.
Sanush had to do the unthinkable, and that was to take her family, to take her children, and to be among the 120 plus thousand Nagorno-Karabak residents, and they had to flee. And today, home for you is in Yerevan, in Armenia for now.
Well, we have these feelings like Armenia is our homeland, and it's our homeland, but it's not home.
Of course.
My home in Nagorno-Karabakh, in Artsakh,
Yeah.
my home is near Amara's church, and I want to go there.
Sandy, thank you, Sandy. So I want to tell you that Sandy, one of our viewers, said that you are, I'm sorry, not Sandy, Casa. Casa said that you are like a modern day Esther. And you are in many ways like that. Sandy wants to know, Sandy, thank you so much for your question. She wants to know, how can the world pray more effectively for your people and the situation today in Nagorno-Karabakh?
Um, most of important for us, it's like at least we were heard, because I remember when we reached Yerevan and I was covering stories of refugees, and I was talking to them, and representative of international organization at that time came to that place and starting to talk with women, and they said, "Where have you been?" And we still, have these feelings like we were like we are not seen, and at least we want to feel like there are people, there are organizations, there are countries who somehow see us, and um, you know and if they can somehow help us to raise our issues, to talk about us, and because most of in the world, even they don't know. Now I am in US, and when I watch news, there is nothing. You see a lot of stories from other region,
Yeah.
but not from our region.
Yeah.
So what I think we need that there are some people, there are some, you know, missions who are with us somehow. We need that support.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you that we at CBN News, we have been covering the story and the plight of those in Nagorno-Karabakh for a very, very long time. My colleague Chuck Holton has been to Armenia many, many times, and has a love and affinity for Armenia. And we've been putting this story on the front burner at CBN News. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today, for coming here on YouTube. Thank you so much to our viewers as well, all throughout the day as well as tomorrow. We'll be highlighting the stories of Esther's, like Sanush, who has bravely, come to tell her story to the viewers here at the International Religious Freedom Summit. Again, if you would comment in the hours ahead, if you'd like to share the video, if you'd like to follow, just to get a notification for what's coming up next in the next hour and a half. We've got some great interviews coming up, and I hope you'll join us again for that. I'm George Thomas for CBN News here in Washington, D.C. Okay.